Hello and welcome to We Just Quote in the podcast, but we do more than just quote. This is We Just Quote Wednesday, and today I'll be talking about comparing yourself to others, life's challenges, and this week's quote of the week, which will be revealed in the podcast. Stay at the end to get a clue of next week's podcast. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know exactly when a new podcast comes out, and tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend. Now let's get into it. At the end of last week's podcast, which you should definitely check out if you haven't already, last week's We Just Quoting Wednesday podcast, I said, life is like a game of Monopoly. Every game is totally different. I can't take credit for this quote because it was said by one of my friends. He knows who he is. I mean, I hope so anyway. I'm sure he'll be able to recognize his own quote. But life is like a game of Monopoly. Every game is totally different. For those who don't know what Monopoly is, and I'm sure many of you do, but for those who don't, Monopoly is a real estate board game for 2 to 8 players in which the player's goal is to remain financially solvent while forcing opponents into bankruptcy by buying and developing pieces of property. Well, if you've ever played Monopoly, you would know that it's a very long game. A very long game. And even if you play with the same people, every single game is totally different. And just like every single game of Monopoly is totally different, everybody's lives is totally different. So don't compare your lives to other people's lives. In a We Just Quote Wednesday podcast, I talked about people's private battles that they are facing. And I said, people every single day are fighting their own private battles that they may not share with you. You don't see the backstory, so you need to be mindful about what you say to other people and how you treat others. Be kind, show love, because your powerful, moving, and motivating words can help and give strength to somebody fighting a difficult battle. We all have private battles that we are fighting, but we may not necessarily share them. You think you know someone, but you only know what they tell you and what they want you to see. Everybody is fighting their own private battles. You don't always know what is going on in somebody's life. So don't compare yourself to somebody else. You don't know their struggles. You don't know if what you don't know what they have, where they got it from and how they got it. You don't know the struggles they faced. The only person you truly know and can compare yourself with is with yourself. And it's unfortunate that we live in a world where we are compared all the time. And we live in a world of comparison. You apply for a job along with 20 other people, only one person can get the job. You are then compared with every single person who applied with you. You take a test and they use everybody's scores to create grade boundaries, and they may say the top 3% scores from students will count as the highest grade, and then they'll work backwards, creating a grade boundary. In order to create that grey boundary, you have been compared by every single person who took that test with you. And it's unfortunate, but it happens. And it is what it is essentially. Essentially it is what it is. And it's sad, it's really unfortunate, I absolutely hate it. But it's the world we live in. But you can't worry about them and you can't worry about that. What you can worry and control is yourself. So don't compare yourself to everybody. You don't know if what they have is real. You don't know how they got it. You don't know their background. You don't know if it's authentic or not. But remember, you only know what people tell you. So don't compare your life with somebody else's life. Life is like a game of Monopoly. Every game is totally different. Don't compare your life to other people's lives. Accept who you are. Love your past. Know that this isn't the end of the movie. Be grateful for what you have. Decide not to let fear guide your choices. Realize that you're not perfect. Be your own ally. Turn comparison into inspiration. Stop shouldering yourself. Compare yourself with you. What I just read out to you, I saw on the internet, and you know what? It's perfect. It's absolutely brilliant. And I'm going to read it out again because life is like a game of Monopoly. Every game is totally different. Don't compare your life to others. Accept who you are. Love your past. Know that this isn't the end of the movie. Be grateful for what you have. Decide not to let fear guide your choices. Realize that you're not perfect. Be your own ally. Turn comparison into inspiration. Stop shouldering yourself. Compare yourself with you. Life is like a game of Monopoly. Every game is totally different. Don't compare your life to others. Dolly Parton, forgive me if I said that name wrong. Dolly Parton said, "The way I see it, if you want the rainbow, you gotta put up with the rain." Life is full of challenges, and many hurdles. There is never always an easy, straight road with no traffic lights, no busy cars, no traffics, no bumps and humps. To put it simply, it's never plain sailing. Life is full of challenges, many challenges. Relating to Dolly Parton's quote, if you want the rainbow, the success, to ripe the fruits, to rip the fruits, you gotta put up with the rain, the failure, the struggles. Life is full of challenges. Challenges we have to overcome if we want to rip those successes. We have to understand that the road is very long, but not easy. We have to overcome these challenges, and it's hard. Of course, it's hard. It can be very defeating when a struggle comes your way and you get knocked down and you have to pick yourself back up again. We have to overcome the challenges that come with life. Every day we have challenges, big or small, they are challenges, and each challenge is different to everybody's life. The challenge you are facing could be very different to the challenge that somebody else is facing, but big or small, it's a challenge and we have to overcome them. Walt Disney overcame poverty. Winston Churchill overcame learning challenges. Helen Keller overcame loss of sight and hearing. Louis Zamperini, forgive me if I said that name wrong, overcame PTSD. Stephen Hawking overcame ALS. Oprah Winfrey overcame childhood abuse. Abraham Lincoln overcame chronic depression. Franklin D. Roosevelt overcame polio and paralysis. These people that I've listed, and there's many more people I could have listed, overcame challenges that came their way, that came with their lives. And I'm sure so have you. You've had a challenge and you overcame it. And you have to continue to do so because life is full of challenges. You may not have the same challenge as somebody else, but you have a challenge which you have to overcome. Life is full of challenges, many hurdles, but we have to overcome them. I'm going to read you a story. I was told this story in primary school actually and completely forgot it, but when I looked online and found the story, it rang a bell that I'd heard it before, and it's absolutely brilliant. And I'm so grateful actually and happy that I stumbled across this story that I can now read to you. It's a short story, don't worry, I'm not going to start quoting and reading, 15 pages of a Dickens book. Um, but no, it's a very powerful story with a lot of meaning, and it fits in perfectly with this idea that life is full of challenges and we have to overcome them. And that actually, which you'll hear at the end of the story, life gives us challenges that make us stronger. One day, a small gap appeared in the cocoon, through which the butterfly had to appear. A boy who accidentally passed by stopped and watched how the butterfly was trying to get out of the cocoon. It took a lot of time. The butterfly was trying very hard, and the gap was as little as before. It seemed that the power would leave the butterfly soon. The boy decided to help the butterfly. He took a penknife and cut the cocoon. The butterfly immediately got out, but its body was weak and feeble, and the wings were barely moving. The boy continued to watch the butterfly, thinking that now its wings would spread and it would fly. However, that did not happen. The rest of its life, the butterfly had to drag its weak body and wings that weren't spread. It was unable to fly because the boy did not realize that an effort to enter through the narrow gap of the cocoon was necessary for the butterfly, so that the life giving fluid would move from the body to the butterfly's wings and that the butterfly could fly. Life forced the butterfly to leave its shell hardly, so that it would become stronger and would be able to grow and develop. If we were allowed to live without meeting difficulties, we would not be valuable. Life gives us challenges to make us stronger. The ending of the story sticks out to me the most. That life gives us challenges to make us stronger. Life is full of challenges and many hurdles, but we have to overcome them. It's a new week, so obviously a new quote of the week. This week's quote of the week is inspired by the MCU, or a quote said in a film in the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you didn't know, I'm a huge fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We are all part of this one universe, and the MCU is so beautiful. Too beautiful. And if I'm not careful, I'm going to end up going on a complete tangent about how beautiful and amazing Marvel really is. And it truly is. I know it's not for everyone, but honestly, it's so beautiful. And phase four, which is the phase we're in right now, has started off amazingly. We've had One Division, we've had the Falcon and Winter Soldier. We've got Loki coming out in June. These have all been TV series. We have Black Widow coming out in July after being postponed due to lockdown and the whole COVID-19 situation. But all Marvel fans right now will know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're not a Marvel fan, I would encourage you to get into it. You know, you have to have watched every single film, but if you do want to start watching a bit of Marvel and maybe do a marathon, I would start from Iron Man 1 all the way to Spider Man Far From Home. You can go online and you can find the best order to watch the films in, but honestly, it's just Marvel. Anyway, this week's quote of the week was said by Dr. Abraham Erkinson in the film. No, it's not Erkinson. Er- Erskine. Forgive me. All Marvel fans forgive me if I said his name wrong. But he said the quote in the film Captain America the First Avenger. I'm a huge fan of Captain America, just like I'm a huge fan of the MCU. And I'm a huge fan of Chris Evans. Oh my gosh, like, yeah, I don't want to, start waffling him about him too. But Steve Rogers, Captain America, like, I just love Captain America. I don't want to start spoiling it for those who haven't seen The Falcon and Winter Soldier because a lot is said in that film and revealed, not film, TV series, and is revealed in it that I really don't want to spoil it because it is fairly recent. But to me, Steve Rogers will always be my Captain America. Like I said, I don't want to waffle on because I really could go on and on and on and on about Marvel, MCU, Captain America, Steve Rogers, but I'm not. But essentially, the quote is said by Dr. Abraham E. I'm just going to call him Dr. Abraham E. because I don't want to say his name wrong. In the film Captain America the First Avenger which is this week's quote of the week, whatever happens tomorrow, you must promise me one thing, that you will stay who you are, and you will stay who you are, not a perfect soldier, but a good man. Let me repeat that for you. Whatever happens tomorrow, you must promise me one thing, that you will stay who you are, not a perfect soldier, but a good man. That is this week's quote of the week. I know it's very lengthy and has a lot of context. If you haven't seen the film before, you might be a bit lost. But essentially, what the quote is saying is that it sums up Chris Evans very well. It reminds us that we can be the most highly skilled person in our pursuits, but the most important thing that we can be is a good person. Just like how Steve was chosen for the super soldier experiment over physically stronger soldiers because of his willingness to put the needs and lives of others before his own, attributes like being a team player can often get you farther in life than fancy credentials and job sus- job specific skills. Also, it should be noted that Dr. Abraham E. says good man, not perfect man. Making mistakes and messing up is inevitable, even for super soldiers, and that's okay as long as you learn from them and don't allow them to define who you are. Whatever you do, whatever it is, make sure you always stay true to who you are. Remain a good person. Not a perfect person, but a good person. Jessie J wrote a song titled Who You Are, and she says, don't lose who you are in the blur of the stars. Seeing is deceiving, dreaming is believing. It's okay not to be okay. Sometimes it's hard to follow your heart. Tears don't mean you're losing. Everybody's bruising. Just be true to who you are. Don't lose who you are. Be true to who you are. Whatever you do, whatever it is, make sure you be and stay true to who you are. Remain a good person. Not a perfect person, but a good person. Do what you think is right, but remain a good person. Stick to your values. Don't deviate from who you are. Own who you are. And in whatever you do, stand by and stay true to who you are. Back yourself. Be a good person in all you do. Be a good person. Whatever happens tomorrow, you must promise me one thing, that you will stay who you are. Not a perfect soldier, but a good man. Thank you for listening. This has been We Just Quote Wednesday. Make sure you give a like, subscribe, and turn on post notification bells. Do all that good stuff. And turn on the post notification bell. Excuse me. Look out for mini podcasts in between We Just Quote Wednesdays, and stay tuned for next week's We Just Quote Wednesday. If you have any quotes, questions, or topic ideas, email them to wejustquoting@gmail.com. Thank you again for listening, and bye-bye for now. If we can't accept limitations, then we're no better than the bad guys.